McDonald and the Norse came to Orlando unbeaten, but Taco Fall and the Knights, they're 20 minutes away from hitting their first loss. Second half on the other side of the break.
Okay, so guys, we're going to do stats and then leading. Do you have stats or leading scores? Which one you want? Both? Okay. All right, so we'll have 30 seconds. So we'll do stats and then leading scores out of stats, okay? All right. Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to lead us to halftime.
Getting set for the start of the second half here at the CFE Arena in Orlando. It is the Knights with a 34-32 advantage over the Northern Kentucky Norse. Take a look at our first half stats. 6 3-pointers made by Northern Kentucky. Of those 6, 3 from the outside came from Drew McDonald. Rebound edge, a major benefit to the UCF Knights. Blacks about even 4-3. And overall, the teams both shooting 38% from the field. Our leading scorers after the first half for both these teams. You in for Tacos or you in for McDonald's? That's the question. Drew McDonald, 13 points. Taco Fall, 11 points. And both these athletes really good from the field. 4 of 7 for Drew McDonald, and Taco Fall a perfect 3 of 3. So the senior from Cold Springs, Kentucky, trying to continue an unbeaten season for Northern Kentucky. Taco Fall trying to build on the momentum after that Myrtle Beach Invite win, as the Knights will host Alabama next here inside the CFE Arena. Second half underway, and the Knights +2 as we begin the second 20 minutes. And they try to go right to work, trying to find Dentez Walton, and he's fouled.
Northern Kentucky does such a great job back cutting in the half court. Anytime, specifically when McDonald has the ball at the top of the key, you'll see multiple players for Northern Kentucky sprint to the rim. It's hard to guard.
I have been impressed with the ball movement in the first half by the Norse. Bernie Gunther, Mike O'Donnell here at the CFE Arena. Glad you're with us for the American on ESPN tonight. The Knights getting everything they want and more from this NKU squad. This is Allen. .15 to shoot. Allen still with the basketball. Now gets it to Colin Smith. Smith working against Walton, and Taco falls there with a tip in. How about the big man?
It's a good attack by Colin Smith. And you forget the fact that with Taco Fall on the floor, he's 6'10" and can attack from the top of the key.
And Fall is a perfect 4 of 4. He's got 13 points, and why not add another board? He's got 7 rebounds, 3 boards away from a double-double. Allen, and he gets the move.
Love his game. I think Terrell Allen has been absolutely fantastic this year. 27 assists and only 4 turnovers on the year for Terrell Allen. Fantastic.
Allen trying to get into double figures for the 3rd time this season. McDonald steps in after the big man came out, and he draws the foul.
That's why McDonald was smart. You know, he's already hit 3 threes in the first half. Taco Fall is not used to playing out by the three-point line. Check out this pump fake. Perfect, looks exactly like he's trying to get a 3 off. And it's nothing fancy. It's not overly quick, but it's highly efficient.
Comes at 36 boards away from tying LaRon Moore for the most in Northern Kentucky history. His 3 double-doubles this season, already 8th in the NCAA. Last season, he posted 18 double-doubles. That was 11th best in the country. I think there's a lot of scouts that have to have McDonald on the radar to play at the next level.
Well, specifically the fact that he can shoot the 3. A big thing for him at the next level, will he be able to guard on the perimeter in the NBA? But I think, Bernie, I know you love hot takes. You ready for this one?
All right.
Drew McDonald might be the second best mid-major player in the country behind Mike Dahm, who's an All-American candidate. I think he's that gifted offensively. I think he's going to have a monster year in the Horizon League. Love his game. I think the thing with McDonald where it's really going to impress scouts is, does he have big games against teams like UCF? You know, if they make it to the NCAA tournament or the NIT again, do you get a chance to win a game, advance in the tournament, and play a power 6 type team and be active? But I guarantee you McDonald will never face a player like that ever again. Wow. What are you supposed to do? Can't do anything.
Smith the fall. And Taco Fall 5 of 5. He's got 15 points. And what a start to the second half for the UCF Knights. They are up now by 7. Only 2 points separated these two teams at the break. Nothing you can do to guard Fall here, can you?
Well, especially when Colin Smith is at the top of the key, because that means the power forward is all the way up to the three-point line. So then you're one-on-one with the opposing team's center. And McDonald is not a true center. He's more of your 6'8" hybrid type forward, and you're stuck in no man's land.
It'll be interesting to see how many minutes we get from Taco Fall. Already with 13 in this game. He's coming off a season-high 25 minutes played. Again, played by injuries a year ago. I'm assuming that there's a happy medium of how many minutes they really want him in all these basketball games.
You know, if he can play 25 minutes a game, I think that's a huge plus. And he can. And he certainly showed that at Myrtle Beach if he stays out of foul trouble.
Three-point look is good for Aubrey Dawkins,
who has been really quiet tonight after a stellar performance at the Myrtle Beach Invitational.
He's got 8 points, though. It is Joko. And the North trying to answer the other way. McDonald backing down the big man. Here's Joko. The lane opens up for him. They move it around Walton, and it goes off the foot of McDonald. And they'll say it was last touched by the Knights.
That's the right call. Yeah, that's the right call. That's a good call by the referee. I don't always like to say that out loud, Bernie.
Got to give us some props
yeah,
every now and again,
you
right?
do. It's the holiday season, right? Yeah.
It's always better to give.
That's right. It's a great opportunity for Northern Kentucky. I think I'd love to see them get the back of the free throw line.
Robinson, they left him alone. I think they were waiting for him to dump it out.
Well, I think Robinson was worried that Taco Fall was going to come block that shot. That's another case of where individually that doesn't show up in Taco Fall's stat sheet, but as a team, it goes to the defensive field goal percentage.
Taco's first miss tonight, but he's got the second chance opportunity. Count the basket, and he's going to the free throw line.
And you got the fist pump from Johnny Dawkins because Taco Fall did exactly what he's supposed to do and exactly what Johnny Dawkins has been preaching to him. Keep the ball above his head because nobody can touch it up there in the sky. Offensive rebound, tip, keep it up, didn't bring it down. I think, you know, Bernie, you and I have called some UCF games, I think 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
I think Taco Fall brings that ball below his waist. But that's just a sign of maturity and growth in Taco Fall's game.
And look at this. We haven't even played 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes here in the second half. And Taco Fall and the Knights, they've extended what was a 2-point advantage to an 11-point lead. Now it's up to McDonald to answer. He gets the miss.
Goaltending. I actually think that's a pretty good no call. Oh, boy, yeah, a little bit below the shoulder for McDonald.
Well, the North are going to get the basket, but it is taco time in the second half. He's got 17, and he's got the Knights up by 9.
Let's talk taco. Yeah, all taco. Just a bio about him. One, and we're back.
Taco Fall, 17 points, the most he has scored in any of UCF's 5 games this season. His career high 31, but take a look. One of the 40 tallest human beings in the entire world. Specialized shoe. I can't imagine that Nike is making a whole lot of 22 size shoes.
No, definitely not. Have you ever shaken Taco Fall's hand before? It's like shaking a baseball mitt. It's crazy. I mean, it just completely engulfs your hand. And actually is a really, really intelligent kid, engineering major. And definitely the definition of a student athlete. A hot button topic nowadays.
How big was it for UCF when Taco Fall elected to come back for his senior season?
Well, I think it was huge because it gave you one of the best trios, not just in the American Conference, but in the country. When you're talking point guard, wing, center combination. That's point guard and B.J. Taylor, wing and Aubrey Dawkins, and center and Taco Fall. All 3 legitimate NBA prospects. I absolutely think B.J. Taylor will get some looks in the NBA. Aubrey Dawkins, before he got hurt last year, he was a projected late first-round pick in most NBA mock drafts. And Taco Fall, due to his size, you know, how do you not have one of those guys on your roster? At least you give him a look.
Fouls on Vogt. Pushes. What does Northern Kentucky have to do to slow down the Knights? They have been hot to start the second half. And there's Colin Smith getting the loose ball. Did he step out of bounds?
Robinson hit it while his foot was out of bounds. Looks like it'd be Knight's ball. A little something shows you, you know, the kind of physicality that Colin Smith brings. He's a great alternative to Taco Fall in the low post.
The Knights have hit 5 of their last 7. And it is saved by B.J. Taylor, saving it to toss it to Allen. And Allen quickly trying to get to work, floats it up to Brown. And Brown's got the basket, and he's going to go to the line.
3 things there. How about the save by B.J. Taylor, the presence of mind of Terrell Allen to be that outlet pass to the top. Check out Terrell Allen, sprints over to the top of the key, sees a mismatch, pick and roll with Chad Brown. Big physical play by Mad Chad Brown.
Chad Brown, huge contributor a year ago, started 15 times last season, played in all 32 games. He's coming off a perfect 3 of 3 performance against Western Kentucky.
He's got the frosted tips now to boot. Love that.
Got to get some style points. That's what it's all about.
Oh, you got to. I've got frosted tips, but the gray kind.
McDonald likes the spot. Comes up short, rebounded by B.J. Taylor. Here's Dawkins. Movement into the corner to Colin Smith. And Colin Smith drains the three.
6'10". You saw him aggressive around the rim, and he's capable from the three-point line. He has the chance to be a really special player for UCF.
That is his first basket from the field tonight. And he's got the Knights to a 51-36 advantage. McDonald backing him down, gets the board off the glass.
Gorgeous. That will not be on ESPN's Top 10 highlights, but that is a beautiful footwork by McDonald. You need more of that from Northern Kentucky, though. But UCF doing it from everywhere on the floor. Colin Smith can go inside, and he can go outside. The Knights a 51-38 the second half.
Well, we talked about Aubrey Dawkins and the onset coming off 21 points. He scored in double figures his first 5 games. The first night in history to do that, and quietly he's got 8 tonight.
Yeah, that's the dangerous thing about this team, is that B.J. Taylor can have a little bit of an off quiet night. Aubrey Dawkins can have a little bit of a quiet night, even 8 points, 4 rebounds, and you've got other players that can actually step up and knock shots. And this is a dangerous time for Northern Kentucky right now. Down 51-38 with 15 left. UCF starting to get into a rhythm.
Well, John Brennan called a timeout. They're going to offer up some full court pressure to try to test the Knights.
It's another added benefit of Aubrey Dawkins as a wing player. He can play some point. He's got a good enough handle to where he can break and release pressure if needed.
By the way, Northern Kentucky, they're down to their final timeout, and there's 15 minutes remaining. Just to tell you how critical John Brennan thinks this mark in the game is. And they can't get the answer. Colin Smith from the outside. And now this time, this possession, he drives to the basket.
Oh, that's too easy. Big fella attacking the rim like that? Wow.
Sharp. Smothered by the Knights.
Yeah, they're just trying to ISO McDonald right now.
UCF has outscored Northern Kentucky 19-6 in the second half. Nobody gets a basket for the Norse.
Check out this dunk by Colin Smith. 6'10", closing in on a 7-foot wingspan. Pretty good athlete to boot. Tough. How great has Chad Brown been? Come from the weak side, getting block after block.
Last time out, led the Knights with 8 boards. They'd love to see his shooting game pick up. And on the flip side, the Norse, they're just 2 of 7 from the field and a shot clock violation. Another wasted possession.
That's what happens when you're out of sync. You start second guessing yourself, and that is UCF's defense in a nutshell. They make you make an extra pass and then another extra pass because you can't get anything easy out of the rim. You think you're out of the weeds with Taco Fall on the bench, but then you have to worry about a guy like Chad Brown coming from the weak side.
Here's Brown with the basketball. Gets it out to Allen. Good look. Dawkins for three. Does not go. And how good is the Knights defense been? Northern Kentucky, they've shot above 50% from the field in every game this season in the second half. Hasn't been the case tonight, struggling again as a team, shooting just 28%. And they just look flustered out there offensively.
Yeah, I thought Sharp had two different opportunities to shoot that three. I don't know why he's second guessing. He's a very good three-point shooter. And you need a guy like that to make shots if McDonald is going to be kind of jammed up in the middle, because UCF is doing a great job confusing him in the low post.
Offensive foul on Colin Smith. 13 and a half to play. Taco time once again, back onto the floor, leading the way with 17 points.
It can be daunting if you're a post player. You initially have to worry about Taco Fall, but then when you add the combination of Colin Smith and Chad Brown, the low block, it's really hard to manufacture points around the rim. That's why three-point shooting comes at a premium for teams. You have to be able to knock down outside shots against this UCF team.
Moving around again, they find Robinson, floats up an air ball. And then McDonald even out of rhythm, trying to get Robinson, and he's only got 5 to shoot. Robinson, no shot, and Taylor comes up with a loose ball as the Knights lock down D once again. There's no spacing on the floor for the Norse to get a good look at the net.
Sometimes your offense is good, but then sometimes the defense is even better, as you just have constant hustle, movement, communication. You saw Terrell Allen try to get a piece of the basketball. It just never stops. It's relentless in the half court.
Taco out top. Big man getting the screen for Taylor, who floats up an air ball. B.J. Taylor, though, good night with 9 points, but the majority of the points have come from the free throw line. 6 of 8 from the line, only 1 of 6 from the field.
That's a little bit his game, though, you know, as I think 50% of his points will be manufactured at the free throw line because of his ability to attack and draw fouls. That's what makes him so special.
Barker tried to float it up over Taco Fall. Tough to shoot over the big man at 7'6".
It's like shooting over a palm tree, man. It's hard to simulate that in practice.
Taco Fall keeping it up high. They feed the big man again. Good spot for B.J. Taylor. Cannot hit. Rebounded by Walton. And can they finally end the scoring drought? No, they can't. In transition, they can't even make a basket. Just 1 of 9. They've gone without a basket for 3+ minutes, the Norse have. Taco Fall fouled by McDonald. He'll go to the line. Taco time for the line when we come back. Try to add to a 17-point game. Knights in control of 53-38. Knights leading 53-38. Big reason, Taco Fall, 4th straight game in double figures, and it looks like he is continuing to grow early on here in the season.
Yeah, well, he's keeping it simple, and he's being really aggressive, and his teammates are just starting to figure out how to play with him. It's a skill to learn how to play with the big fella, but you still look at his free throw percentage, and even just tonight, he's under 50%. If he shoots close to 60% at all this year, he'll be averaging close to 20 points per game.
He's been big at the free throw line tonight, 5 of 11. You know he's going to get a lot of opportunities from the charity stripe.
It's not great science either. You know, when he's on the floor, good things happen. So when he's not in foul trouble, he's going to get his points. Bernie, you know those little Tykes basketball hoops?
Yes.
You know, I've got one, you know, with my daughter. You know, it's pink, so obviously, you know, she's getting ready for women's hoops here. But that's, Taco Fall has to shoot a basketball, kind of like you and I have to shoot a little Tykes rubber basketball in that hoop. That's a little bit what it's like, to kind of give you an idea. That's how big his hands are.
Probably maybe why you can get such a difference trajectory-wise, left or right off the hands.
Well, I think it makes it really hard to have two hands on the basketball when you're shooting.
Northern Kentucky continues to struggle, one of their last 10. And for the UCF Knights, they got a lesson in this a couple weeks ago against FAU, but it didn't end up the way that they wanted. They built a big lead over the Owls, but they didn't continue to push it home like they did there at Taco Fall now with 19.
You're exactly right, Bernie. They got up 20 against Florida Atlantic, and they took their foot off the gas pedal. And all of a sudden, Florida Atlantic started to chip away, 3 after 3 after 3. They ended up making 12 three-pointers in that game and 1 at the buzzer. I can guarantee you that Coach Johnny Dawkins is talking about that in the huddle, that you cannot let your foot off the gas pedal. A good sign for UCF going back inside of Taco Fall in that last play.
Defense smothering. 1 to shoot, and it does not go for Faulkner. The Norse cannot buy a bucket in the second half. UCF has outscored them 21-6.
Somebody has to make a play for Northern Kentucky other than McDonald. That's really where the frustration comes in for me.
Allen drive into the hoop, right down the lane.
Good pass.
And that's how Northern Kentucky is going to get a basket here in the second half. Take another look at Taco time down low.
Well, what you didn't see is there is just simple perimeter ball movement on the top of the key, and then all Taco Fall does is he just traces the basketball, and it's so hard to get around him. The other thing about Taco Fall is he's 7'6", and he doesn't look physically huge. I mean, like, his frame doesn't look big, but he's over 300 pounds, and he's actually one of the stronger lower body players on UCF. It's hard to move him out of the paint physically one-on-one.
How much do you feel like his game has grown in his time here in Orlando?
You know, it's an interesting question, because I think from freshman to sophomore year, he made a massive leap. But I think sophomore to junior year, he didn't make the jump that I think a lot of people thought, because he was injured and he never really got back to being 100%. Now, the fact that he's 100% and he's got more weapons on the perimeter, he's that much better.
Yeah, but he set a UCF record, 74% from the field. Really some unbelievable numbers. You see how efficient he is today. 7 of 8, 85%.
He broke the record 3 years in a row. He broke his record twice. And each year, his freshman year, he set the record for field goal percentage. He broke it his sophomore year, and then he broke it his junior year. But I thought, in terms of what I'm talking about last year, Bernie, is I think most people felt that he'd be close to like 18 points per game, and he just didn't have that last year after coming back from an injury, a really bad kind of foot and hip injury. He never really got a rhythm.
And how about Dawkins? 10 points, so 6 straight games to start the season in double figures. Continues to be a night record.
He can really light it up. He is a legitimate NBA prospect. We've talked about his athleticism, but he can shoot the three. He's close to 40% from the three-point line. He's got that mid-range game. Tough to guard.
And how hard or easy is it to have that as a head coach?
Both easy and hard. You know, I think because you don't want to show favoritism. But actually, it was funny. Last year, I asked a lot of the players who the leader on the team was. And this is while Aubrey was redshirting. They said, "Oh, it's Aubrey." I said, "Really?" He said, "Oh." They said, "Oh, yeah." In the locker room, Aubrey Dawkins was the leader of the team. And that carries over to this year. And I think between B.J. Taylor and Aubrey Dawkins, you have two vocal veteran leaders that are really built for a March run.
Well, Dawkins played the beginning of his career as Taco Fall is going to draw the foul. No, call for the foul, excuse me, I should say, down low. Dawkins played at Michigan to begin his career.
And he was a sixth man of the year at Michigan, was very good for the Wolverines in the Big Ten. And then Coach Johnny Dawkins took the job at UCF and decided to follow his father down to Orlando, Florida. And I think the UCF nation is pretty happy he's here.
Talked about the injuries, the transfer time. Took a while as Sharp tries to fire it up from three-point range for Dawkins to finally get an opportunity to be a day-to-day player for the UCF Knights. I'm sure for him and his dad at points, it felt like an eternity.
Mentally, it can be fatiguing. Yeah, I did a redshirt year when I transferred from NC State to UCF, and that was 1 year was difficult enough. And to add a medical redshirt on top of that, you have to be very mentally tough to power through that, because you could easily get lackadaisical. You can get off your diet, you can get off your conditioning, and it's going to take some time to get his timing down. But I thought, to your point earlier, Bernie, that Myrtle Beach Invitational, those 3 games almost felt like his coming out party for Aubrey Dawkins.
Vogt is fouled out of the game with 8 minutes remaining. 5 fouls. Vogt finishes with only 2 points and 2 boards.
I do think Vogt is going to be a significant factor for Northern Kentucky. He's only going to get better. He was a fantastic high school player. He'll learn this offense and what Coach Brandon expects from him, but I think he's going to be really special for the Norse, and he's going to have to be really good, because that's your post player that's going to have to, when McDonald leaves, he's going to have to fill those shoes.
1 of 2. That's kind of been the story in this game for Taco Fall. Much better than his typical 21% from the free throw line. 2 of the last 12 for the Norse. They have been flustered, but Faulkner finally finds a spot. Hasn't been a whole lot of empty spots in the Knights defense to take any good looks, and now they try to offer up some full court pressure, trying to work their way back into this one. Down by 16 with 8 minutes remaining here in the second half.
I'm a little surprised we haven't seen more press from Northern Kentucky. They force 18 turnovers a game this year and do a really great job in their full court press.
Taco Fall trying to back him down. Pence for 3. Guess the struggle, though, if you can't make baskets, it's hard to get into the press.
Exactly, and they always like to hop in the press after free throws. They shoot a ton of free throws, but UCF has done a good job of playing without fouling this game.
Faulkner way offline, but how about this day for Taco Fall? 7 of 8 from the floor. Taco Fall a board away from a double-double here in Orlando, and his Knights up by 16. 2 points was the difference at the break, but what a second half for the UCF Knights. Plus 14.
I think the big thing for me is Aubrey Dawkins came alive in the second half, knocked down a couple buckets, and then they stayed true to going back to Taco Fall. And with Vogt fouling out, so far Northern Kentucky has had no answer for Taco Fall in the low post.
25% shooting in the second half for the Norse. Almost 58% from the field in the second half for the UCF Knights. The Knights with 2 in double figures, Dawkins and Fall. Northern Kentucky's got Walton and McDonald both in double figures, but outside of those two, not a whole lot of help for the rest of the Northern Kentucky team.
And Northern Kentucky has to do a better job of not fouling in the full court, because now it's double bonus the rest of the way.
B.J. Taylor at the free throw line. This is where he's gotten the bulk of his points. He was 6 of 8 previously with 9 points. Missed the front end on the bonus there. Robinson moves it around. This is Joko, but rebounded by Aubrey Dawkins. And Dawkins now with 10 points and 5 rebounds.
This is where long missed jump shots kill you, because then UCF will grab the rebound and slow it down and milk the clock.
Back into Taco, double teamed. It was low, and Joko stole it away. On the move, Sharp for 3. They can't buy a bucket. 0 of 9 from three-point range in the second half.
Best time to shoot a three-pointer. You want to get some quick buckets. I love the three-point attempt in transition for the Norse. This is a shot you got to knock down.
Northern Kentucky, their last three-pointer made was at the 3-minute mark to end the first half. And for a team that loves to shoot from the outside, not a good sign when you're 0 of 9 in the second half from three-point range. Colin Smith at the free throw line.
And it's so easy to say, and sometimes it comes off as cliche, but if you're Northern Kentucky, you've got to chip away, right? You can't get it back in one shot. You need to find multiple possessions where you can get a couple stops in a row, and then either get to the free throw line, get a couple. You almost need to see the ball go in the hoop.
And they've had an opportunity because UCF has gone without a field goal the last 3 minutes plus. But they haven't really been able to cut into the lead. There's the first three-point basket made of the second half, and it goes to Sharp, who's now in double figures with 10.
He is one of the better three-point shooters for the Norse. Oh my gosh, did you see
Colin
Smith
take it over going down the floor?
He bounced it off the back of a Northern Kentucky defender in the full court. That almost never happens.
Wow.
It's a recipe for disaster, Bernie. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Big step for Allen, kicks it out to Taylor. Taylor with 5 seconds to shoot. Allen with 4 to shoot. And Allen lost a handle on it as he's fouled. He got bailed out with 1 second on the shot clock.
Those just drive you nuts if you're a head coach, because that was a really good half-court defensive possession. Look at this. Look at Colin Smith. 6'10", bouncing it off the back of Walton, then bringing it up in the full court. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, Bernie.
On 1 for 2. 5.5 to play. And Northern Kentucky making move the final 5 minutes. McDonald's had a quiet second half, and they tried to get a combination from Walton to McDonald, just did not connect.
Smith and Taylor for UCF did a great job of help defense. McDonald was open briefly on the pick and roll, but a good help side by Taylor and Smith.
McSpadden onto the floor for the Knights. This is Allen. Pull-up jumper. How about McSpadden crashing the boards? He can't get up the second chance point, however.
You know, you'll actually, McSpadden's left-handed. You'll go back and look that one on film, and he caught it on the right side of the rim. He just needed to go up, same side.
Taco Fall getting a break, 23 minutes, 20 points. You wonder at this point whether you'll see him the final 5 minutes. Look at that rebounding margin, 46 to 29. UCF plus 17. Into the corner, Sharp. McDonald, that's an important board for Northern Kentucky, and McDonald, with the big man out of the game, goes back to the hoop.
Tough, really smooth. That's 22 for McDonald. He has had a really great game, but just been the only bright spot in the half court offense for Northern Kentucky this game.
You kind of expected from McDonald because he does average 19, and then left all alone is Chad Brown down, and he's got the exclamation point.
A dangerous but necessary pass by Allen, who was caught right in front of you and I. Looked like he was stuck in no man's land.
And it's back to a 14-point advantage as Allen is called for the foul.
Silly foul. That's exactly what you want if you're Northern Kentucky, because then you can close in on bonus time to get to the free throw line and set up your press. Next foul is 17 fouls on UCF. So I look at that, and I'm going right to the rim. There's no reason why you can't chip away with 4 minutes. In college basketball, you could turn that into an eternity.
This is Faulkner. Walton. McDonald on the baseline. Remember, Taco Fall out of the game. 5 to shoot. McDonald says, I'll take it. And Faulkner comes in to try to create a second chance opportunity. And UCF called for the foul. UCF, a lot of good up close looks. And here's another big finish by the Knights, trying to give Northern Kentucky their first loss of the season. For the Knight faithful, they have seen a lot of wins during the Johnny Dawkins era here at the CFE Arena, and they are closing in on another W. 3:42 remaining in the second half. Take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Norse. At Morehead State, their next game. Kind of a home game, if you will, at Cincinnati, just over the bridge on December the 4th.
And a little bit of a homecoming for Coach Brandon, too. He played at Morehead State along with Marshall. And you got that tough matchup at Cincinnati. It was funny. That's an interesting game because the Bearcats had renovations to Fifth Third Arena. And all of last year, they had to play at Northern Kentucky's home gym. Northern Kentucky's gym seats almost about 9,000. And so there'll be quite a few Cincinnati Bearcats and Northern Kentucky fans, I'm sure, at that game.
North step one to try to get it to a single-digit deficit. Right now they trail by 13 with 3.5 to play. Taco Fall with 20, Dawkins with 10, and a huge second half performance by the UCF Knights, outscoring Northern Kentucky 29-18. That's been the storyline. A Northern Kentucky team that shot just 1 of 11 from three-point range as Griffin flies in there.
That's a big stop for Northern Kentucky, and you're down 13. That's not an insurmountable lead. A couple threes get you right back into the game. That's exactly what FAU did. Chipped away 3 by 3.
McDonald. And a foul away from the ball. It's going to go against Northern Kentucky. An offensive foul on Walton.
They tried to exploit a mismatch with B.J. Taylor guarding Walton, and Walton wanted a back cut to get to the rim and post up.
Look at this SEC time for Johnny Dawkins, a test against Alabama right here, then at Missouri. They'll have 3 games at home: Grambling State, Georgia Southern, and Stetson.
Missouri struggling a little bit this year in the non-conference. Alabama's playing pretty good basketball. That's one of those games, you know, you circle on the schedule. If you're the NCAA selection committee and look, did UCF take care of business at home against a team like Alabama, and did they go in and win a game at Missouri, even though Missouri might be down a little bit this year? Those are games you really circle on your schedule.
Hard foul on B.J. Taylor. He'll go to the free throw line. That really talks to you a lot about the difference that Johnny Dawkins has made with his UCF team. First time in program history, picked to win the American. Now you're talking about you got an Alabama team coming from the SEC, picked to beat a team like that coming home. That they're expected to try to obviously get those wins at home. Something that you wouldn't have said 4 or 5 years ago about this program. The Alabama game would have been a toss-up. If you could win it, it'd be great.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, and I think when you inherit 2 great players in B.J. Taylor and Taco Fall, then you bring in Aubrey Dawkins, you bring in players like Frank Burtz and Colin Smith. You add, and Terrell Allen, and you add a supporting cast that it's not only talented, but they complement each other, right? We talked about that. Colin Smith complements Taco Fall in the post so well that it's an easy transition from him from the 4 spot to the 5 spot. You have a player like Frank Burtz coming off the bench who's a good 3-point shooter. Aubrey Dawkins is an NBA prospect. Terrell Allen is a great complement to B.J. Taylor because B.J. Taylor is a scoring point guard. Terrell Allen is more of a pass-first point guard. So a good job of recruiting by Aubrey Dawkins, adding in different pieces.
Opens up, and they clear the way for Aubrey Dawkins, who tries to the basket, and he's got 12. 2.5 to play. A 16-point night lead. Trying to get their 4th straight win and get back over 500 here at home. Sharp, everybody coming out to guard him, but he gets the roll. It hit the front end and rolled in. It's just the second 3-point basket made this half. Both of them have come from Sharp, who's 3 of 8 from 3-point range. Griffin. And Sharp gets the loose ball. 2 minutes to play. Down by 13. Norris needs some baskets. Robinson was trying to provide a spark. How would it have been if they could have hit back-to-back threes?
Yeah, that would have been huge. You're just talking momentum, but now this looks to be a little difficult of a comeback with 1 minute and 30 left. If I'm UCF, I want to continue to the rim. You'd think you'd have a little bit more pressure if you're Northern Kentucky on the ball, though.
It will train the shot clock all the way down to 5. Taylor, 4-3. And Sharp will push it the other way for the Norse. McDonald, can he get the 3? Too long. And the final 66 seconds tick away from the CFE Arena. And looks like the Knights are going to hand Northern Kentucky their first loss of the year.
Northern Kentucky went really cold from the perimeter. And when you do that against a team like UCF, who's a great defensive but also rebounding team, it's hard to manufacture second chance points, especially if you're missing threes. And ooh, there was a small taste. No, it doesn't count.
Dawkins can elevate.
Runs in the family. You know, when your dad was in the NBA dunk contest and finished second, you have to be able to jump pretty good. You don't have a choice.
And I would think overall Johnny Dawkins has got to be proud of his defense. Shut down D in the second half. They held Northern Kentucky just 28% from the field, just 2 of 14 from three-point range. And they really did not give the Norse any good looks at the basket, it seemed like. They were hard to come from and come by in the second half.
Yeah, but I really think we'll see these two teams play in March. I really believe that. I think UCF is a bona fide NCAA tournament at-large team. And I think Northern Kentucky, I think they'll win the Horizon League. I think they're that good. I think you'll see, players like Chris Vogt only get better throughout the course of the year. This is a really, really good mid-major team, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Norse go dancing this year.
Going to be a shot clock violation. Northern Kentucky will have the final moments in this one. Johnny Dawkins already doing the handshake. Still 2 seconds remaining now. The clock expires. And for the Knights, their 4th straight win. It's a big one today as they take down one of the top teams in the Horizon League, 66-53.
And they did it with defense and patience. I think in the second half, they made a great adjustment. They were outstanding in the half court defensively. And the offensive end, MVP to Taco Fall. UCF guards did a great job of finding him in the paint, but Taco Fall was efficient, he was aggressive, he was decisive, and exactly what this UCF team needed him to do tonight.
Season high performance tonight from Taco Fall, who finishes with 20 points as the Knights get a 66-53 win. That'll do it for our coverage from the CFE Arena. For Mike O'Donnell and our entire ESPN crew, Bernie Gunther saying good night from the City Beautiful. The Knights with 4 straight wins as they take down Northern Kentucky 66-53.